Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where we talk about all of our geeky interests. We talk about movies, TV shows, comic books, and video games. And sometimes I even get the intro right, which is nice.
Which is crazy.
My name's Tommy, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's DL.
How's it going, Tommy?
How are you, mate?
I am doing well. I hope you guys enjoyed the robot music to start. It's always a highlight.
Do you want to explain the robot music reference?
My girlfriend thinks the opening sounds like a robot music. I think we already did explain this in one episode, but for those of you that don't religiously listen in, I was playing the podcast just to fuck with her on a car ride, and she goes, "What is this robot music?" And then cue my voice, and she felt very guilty, very sad indeed. No, she didn't give a fuck.
That's pretty. She didn't care.
She cared zero.
That's great. I'm pretty sure mine listens to like the first 15 minutes, so she'll hear this bit. But as soon as we start talking about anything which is vaguely like within the wheelhouse of our podcast, she's like, "Yeah, I'm done. Like, I don't care anymore." Yeah. But then, like the last week's, I feel like would have been one that she'd have really liked.
Well, tell her to tune in.
Well, I did. I gave her the heads
Spotify,
up.
Apple, wherever you get your podcast.
Plug.
Did get a PS5.
You did?
I did.
Tell me about it.
I was
finally.
So
after we moaned about it last week.
That's true. Girlfriend tried to get it for Christmas / my birthday, and then ended up not being able to get it like everyone in Australia, and bought a bunch of games. So I just had all the games, and I was just like waiting in a depressed state. And she's
What
like,
did you have?
I got Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, the new one, and then I think that's actually it, which are all basically like PS4 games as well.
Yeah, they really are, yeah.
To be fair, but I don't have a PlayStation 4.
Upgrades,
so.
Right?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, perfect.
They have little upgrades. But then she's like, like one of her friends is actually going back to France, and she like really last minute. And so she's like, I got to go to like Strathfield, like pick something up for her because she doesn't have time. She's flying out tomorrow. Like, let's go. And I was like, fuck, Strathfield. But like, she can't drive except for if I'm there. So I was like, fair enough. Start going. And then I'm waiting in the middle of Strathfield, just like on my phone. She comes back to the PS5. Wow. Guy.
That's class.
Yeah, it's real class. Don't want to know what happened in that house while she was away. But we're going to
So you fell into the trap of buying off a grifter.
Yeah, it was like some kind of like Facebook
shady deal.
Marketplace.
Yeah, okay.
Scenario. I'm sure he, was very, very well intentioned in his selection of Gale for dropping this one off.
Brilliant. Anyway, so that's what you've been up to. Awesome.
I've been playing a bit of that. Yeah, playing the Spider-Man one that you were talking about.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's really good.
How many percentages are you into it? How many percentages?
I don't know. I just like.
I'm not doing very well today, am I?
I got my first. How many percentage points? How many basis points are you into the game?
Jesus.
I think I got my first like new suit.
Ooh.
And that's like
what's a new suit?
Far in.
What's a new suit?
The new suit's just like, I don't know, it gives me more like focus or something.
Oh, great.
First one. Yeah.
You eventually unlock, I won't tell you, you eventually unlock a bunch of stuff and you can get like different mods for it. So
I've got one of the mods.
With any RPG, you can do different shit. No, they're just abilities you can get. But like different mods, like you can see through like walls further and shit. Okay. Like it's good.
One of the ones looks like Black Noir. I just haven't unlocked it yet.
I'm not a big fan of that one. The one I really like is the one from the Clone Saga, where essentially it was back in the day when if a comic book series was doing well, they just published as many as they could of them. Long story short. And Spider-Man was no exception, and they started this thing called the Clone Saga, which went on for, I think it was 3 years. It was just too long. And anyway, Ben Reilly, who was like, thought he was the clone, and then he wasn't the clone, and then he was the clone, and then who knows? I can't even remember anymore. It's that fucking complicated. Yeah. He's got a really cool like Spider-Man outfit where he's got like a hood. It's my favorite one.
Okay. I think I've seen one with a hood, but I don't.
I think he's a Scarlet Spider. I think that's what he calls it.
Yeah. Does he have like a jean jacket as well?
Possibly. No, I think it's like a hood on top. Anyway, whatever.
Okay. Moving on.
I
did get that, and I played that. I actually wanted to play The Last of Us first, but I actually didn't have The Last of Us. I only had Last of Us 2. So I decided, okay, instead of waiting for the other one to download, I'll just play the game I have.
Do you know the ending of Last of Us 1?
I don't know anything about it. I just know that
you've got to play the first one.
I just know, of course. I just know that it's like a really sick game. It's way up my alley, so I was excited to get into that.
It is one, it's way up your alley, and two, it's one of the best video game endings I think I've ever played / not played.
Awesome.
Because I played it, but I don't remember it.
But didn't finish it?
That's it. I didn't finish it. I got about 80% of the way through and I went, I really can't be asked to send because I'm bad at shooting games. And I just watched the ending online. It's way easier.
Fair enough.
I know the ending.
It seems pretty lame.
Good.
Get 80%, man.
Good game.
Just finish it.
Yeah. I mean, I say 80%. It's probably more like 30 to be perfectly honest. I was terrible at it anyway. It's great that you've got that though. Like, I feel like you've been. I mean, like it was supposed to be your birthday, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not like I have all this time to spare, but we're gonna have to find it because. And then I also started a new book. A book.
You clearly have a lot of time. What are you talking about? You can sit in Strathfield
this
for
is
a few
why
hours.
I didn't prepare it all for the podcast.
Yeah, that's very
I started a new
good stuff.
I started a new podcast, or sorry, not a new podcast, a new book.
Shit.
New
Are we
game.
competing now?
Yeah, now we got competition,
dude. By the way, that's pretty funny because I'd like if you did, I'd like that because it would be complete nonsense. It would happen once every 6 to 12 weeks, like with no regularity. There'd be no structure to it.
Yeah, no. In any case, I'm starting a book by Joe Nesbo. It's a crime thriller. There's actually movies that have been made, but apparently they're not very good.
I think my brother likes those books.
Yeah, they're good. He's a Norwegian author.
Yeah, I think so.
And it translates pretty well for
nice.
being like not the first language that it was written in. I think the only one that's had a movie was made was Snowman, and that's not one I've read, but the reason I bring it up, it's the actor who plays, we just talked about him, you know him. Michael Fassbender, who plays Magneto's younger self.
You could say Magneto's son then, wouldn't you?
I don't know. Son? No, not his son.
Brother,
his younger self. The guy that I actually am a big fan of. And so I was pretty stoked that he was in it, but then I saw the reviews and they weren't
good.
They weren't very good reviews for the movie.
The
books are good.
I've stopped reading reviews nowadays. I feel like I'm just a bit over it.
True. And if you're a fan of like a character,
exactly.
and you've read multiple books like I have of this guy's, then you're probably going to enjoy something of it, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't read the book yet, so I want to read the book first.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. What have I been up to this week? So I took a little bit of time off comic book stuff. I was a bit like, I've really been hammering it recently, watching everything.
Hence why I started the book. Same thing.
Yeah. So I thought I'd take a bit of a break. And then after, I just didn't consume any media, like full stop. I got to the weekend and I was like, crap, like I've not done anything or I've literally done nothing. So I ended up to have this little like taste breaker. I watched a film called Yesterday. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yesterday.
Yeah. It is based on the Beatles. Did you know the concept?
So far away.
Please keep going.
Yeah, it's some guy like writes all the songs or something in an alternative universe.
Yeah, the basic premise
and he's like the Beatles.
It's a classic rom-com, right? So this isn't the classic rom-com part. Dude gets hit by a bus, something changes in his reality, and everything by the Beatles has been forgotten.
Oh, and he has to bring it back.
And then he realizes that he can become famous if he just releases the Beatles songs. And it's how he comes to write them and his progress to being that, and the fact that he then realizes that what he really wanted was back where he started all along. And the classic rom-com beats, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I enjoyed it. I just love the Beatles. We talked about this before, like Beatles versus Stones, but the Beatles, like Yesterday, phenomenal song. All the ones they're like. They go, it's great.
I was about to watch that the other day.
It's good.
And I didn't because I was like, fuck, I want something dark and it seems way too uplifting.
It's a little bit,
which is a terrible insight into my psyche. Jesus. Dre.
Okay, well, there's a couple of other things I watched. So I continued watching Superman and Lois. Second episode, good. Like the intrigue. What is being set up as the bad guy for the show is very interesting because he is not what you expect and he looks like he could be brought in from a different universe. Well, he is from a different universe, which is very interesting.
It's like a different universe in comics or a different universe in like this, like a different world in that universe. Does that make sense?
No.
So also like Superman, where he's coming from a different universe?
Different universe.
Okay.
It is literally one of those split multiversal type
all the
things.
Rage.
Yeah, it really is, and it's actually I like where it's going. It seems fun. It doesn't look like we expected. They used all the budget for the first episode, but it's actually interesting that they are kind of focusing more around the story of the family more than the big superhero beats, which I'm enjoying so far. And the last thing, after saying I didn't do anything, the last thing I did. So last night I sat down. I've had this on my queue on Netflix for fucking ages. I don't know much about Transformers. Do you know much about Transformers? Like the comic books
like
and
Optimus Prime and like the other guys.
Yeah, so I know it was massive in the 80s, and I know there was like some movies and TV shows, but they were basically made to sell toys. Right? It's the classic. Yeah. So there is a new anime series on Netflix called Transformers War for Cybertron. It's 6 episodes. And it's sort of it is literally that it takes you back to Cybertron and shows you like how they ended up sort of fractioning off and going to like Earth and all that stuff, where they end up. And I sat down to watch one episode to see if I liked it, and ended up watching 4. It's fucking great. It's really good, and the intrigue's there. Like the characters are all interesting. There's a lot of like switching sides, and there's like it. So I tell you what it reminded me of. You know that scene at the very beginning of it, especially. You know that scene at the beginning of Terminator 2 where you see John Connor's sort of like army that he's built, and they're like the rebellion against the Terminators, and they're sort of like building up. And there's that sort of dirtiness to it, and it's like it's one man standing alone, and it's like this tiny little rebellion against this huge, devastating army. I was like, fuck yeah, that gives me those kind of vibes all day. It was really interesting. And then like there's a few little giveaways throughout. For example, they all have like laser eyes, classic Transformers, like colored eyes, and the ones who are bad ones tend to have red colored eyes. The ones who are good ones tend to have blue colored eyes.
Hate that.
But it's interesting. So 4 episodes in, one of the main bad ones the whole time had blue eyes, and I was like, well, at what point is he gonna switch allegiances? And in the 4th episode, guess what? He's switching allegiances, and I'm like, well, that wasn't fucking telegraphed a mile away.
It's pretty dumb. That whole kind of stuff is
good though, like really interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like that stuff like is super tropey fantasy. Like, oh, the orcs are all evil and they're all green and dark and gross. Like that's like what that reminds me of. Like, Gandalf the White is good, and like the orcs are
right.
You know
Got it. I was like, where are you going with this?
It's just like the tropey sides of fantasy and fiction. Anyway,
yeah, there's a few, and I think for younger viewers, like I don't think this is for young people at all, but for younger viewers, it gives it some cues, and obviously there's got to be some element of wanting to sell some toys as well, maybe. So it's pretty good. Anyway, speaking of Netflix, did you hear? You remember last week I told you that Tom Hardy has dropped his Capone movie on Netflix. So the movie based around Al Capone's life.
Dropped it mean it's not happening, or it's already on
sorry,
Netflix?
It dropped on Netflix, as in it is on Netflix. And people are calling it the worst film ever made.
God, it's always, isn't it always like these guys have, this is like the Vinny Chase Medellin.
That was exactly it. Like, this is like his passion project.
Waited his whole life to make this.
His passion project.
Super hard to get it out, and it just gets fucking destroyed.
Torn to pieces. So there was literally
what's it called? That's probably why it took so long.
Yeah. There was literally a whole Lad Bible post on it this week where they just went through comment after comment after comment, and it was just
4.7 on IMDb.
Hideously brutal. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look good. Well, also, did you hear this week that after weeks and weeks of speculation... No, you go.
Can Tom Hardy just finish season 2 of Taboo already? This is a waste of his time and talent.
Did you watch season 1 of Taboo?
I didn't watch any of it, but I just like love that. Those one-liners where it's just like, fuck this. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to talk about why.
Something that's better, yeah. Well, Taboo was... I don't think Taboo was that good. Like, it got rave reviews, but it was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, what... Please watch it. I'd love to know your thoughts on it, because it's like... It's all over the place.
Okay.
He's always one step ahead of everyone else. It's a bit... It's odd. I can't even explain.
I hate when the protagonist is always one step ahead of everyone else, and it doesn't actually make sense. Like, he shouldn't be.
No.
Like, you have to like kind of suspend disbelief at times.
Yeah, and
I hate that. That's what Lupin always did.
And
Lupin.
And it leans on like he might have like supernatural powers, but he doesn't. But does he? But he obviously doesn't. But does he? And then it's like, I don't care enough about this weird subplot. You know, it's good. Like, it's good. I'd watch it. Do you know the IMDb score for that?
For Taboo?
Yeah, just chuck it in. Let's see.
8.4.
Wow.
That's good.
That's high.
Yeah. What is it? I don't even know the history of this.
Give it a watch. I think it's one. Yeah. It's not worth reading up on, because like the synopsis is going to make about as much sense as we do.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, well, did you hear this week, in a week where we found that mutants weren't being introduced to the MCU, quite equivocally from the show we've seen, that it has been reported by, I think it's Illuminati, that Marvel are currently working on an X-Men movie that has been codenamed The Mutants. Even though they've planned out their plans for the next 2 phases, they already are thinking about bringing the mutants in, which is very interesting.
Codenamed Mutants?
The Mutants, yes.
Why
they can't just go
God
X-Men.
names would they codename it that? A
Because
codename is supposed to hide what
I don't think it's a codename. I think that's a working title.
Okay.
I think it's more like they don't want to go with X-Men because of all the recent terrible fucking movies,
Yeah.
and it's a bit overdone. And if they go with X-Men, you're immediately going to think of Hugh Jackman and Ian McKellen.
No doubt. Yeah.
Did you say Weird Al?
I said no doubt.
Oh, I thought you said Weird Al.
Weird Al as well.
I was like, Weird. Why is Weird Al involved in this? I don't give a fuck about Weird Al.
Weird Al. Like, what a fucking weird.
We should definitely talk more about Weird Al at some point. That's hilarious.
I actually bought one of his albums.
Did you?
Pretty sure.
Which one?
The one that was like, doo, 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 doo. You know that song that makes fun of?
No, I do not.
There was this guy who.
Oh yeah,
Who
okay.
who were that guys? That was one of the ones that was.
What was that band called? Oh, I should know.
I don't know,
this.
but like
my
Weird
dad's
Al
gonna
did
kill
a
me for not
cover
knowing
of
this.
it, and that's one of the ones.
Crash Test Dummies.
Yeah,
good boring band.
That's one of the ones I. Yeah,
they had one good song, or maybe two good songs. What do you think about this though? Do you think about the X? We've talked about this multiple times.
I
X-Men
wonder if they're
coming
going to
to
just change the. Well, this is like all speculation, but like
yeah, of course.
change the origin stories and stuff, and just make it completely different.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to a little bit because
surely
Magneto's origin is in the Nazi elimination camps.
Doesn't mean that they couldn't use that. Did
No,
Nazi
they
elimination
could, but
camps not exist in this?
No, they obviously could, and they obviously do, but like that would make him significantly older. And if you wanted to get an actor who could play the part for a long time, it would be difficult to work that in unless you like made some stupid like assumption or you put in some weird like loophole that mutants don't age the same way the rest of us do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they could do. It's also kind of like how much retcon can they really do to like the already established players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I think that's fair. Like if like is Magneto going to be Scarlet Witch's dad? I kind of hope not.
I wouldn't like to think
I wouldn't
so.
like no.
Because we already know that we've already seen her parents in the show.
Yeah. I think they're going to have to change quite a bit, you're right.
Parents. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, for the better. And I think Marvel have the best creative teams, so they'd probably end up finding a way around it. Like I like the idea that they have been there for a while. They have been in the MCU the whole time, but Professor Xavier has been cloaking them with his his mind controls
the whole time.
So people can't find mind controls. So people can't find them. I like that idea. That's interesting, and that works for me. But I do think as well they would have to do some retconning and some changing.
Yeah, or at least they wouldn't have to do a ton of retconning if they did it right. But they, at the very least, it would be like one of those not Deus Ex Machina, but like what's the phrase I'm trying to think of? Just like, oh, by the way, this has been happening. Like that's gonna for sure happen. Like, and we probably should have. You probably would have noticed this, but because of one little gotcha, you didn't this whole time in the MCU. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we are 1 week away from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Are you excited for that?
Not really, but I'll watch. I'm way more excited, as we know, for the Loki stuff.
Yeah, to be honest, me too. But we're going to talk about that in a little minute. In just a minute, anyway. Well, I thought I'd mention as well, did you hear this week that Disney Plus's Percy Jackson and the Olympians will have a similar budget to both The Mandalorian and WandaVision? And I was reading this today, and I realized I have no idea what the fuck that is.
So my brother used to read it. And I didn't think it was a Disney property. Is that recently?
Percy Jackson, I believe, is a Disney property, yes.
Maybe they bought it, and I just didn't. Anyway, it's a book series.
Yeah, I know. So is the Olympians like a series, or is it like that's one of a series?
It's like
the same way the Fellowship of the Ring is one of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Percy Jackson is like the entirety of the series. Now I don't know what each one. There's a bunch of books.
I thought Percy Jackson was the dude who wrote it.
No, Percy Jackson.
I'm kidding.
But I don't know how many there are. I think it's like one of those like Harry Potter-esque like 10
so
books.
It could just be hundreds of books by this point. That's interesting. So I wonder, because I mean, like by all accounts, you're comparing it to The Mandalorian and WandaVision. You're saying it's probably going to be a TV show. That's really interesting.
I would have to assume it's a TV show, although I think it's very different than those.
Long form stories. Yeah, I mean, for sure, long form stories.
It's kind of tweeny.
Yes, that was my initial assumption.
Yeah,
just based on what they've done previously, because they've done films before, right? They've made movies of the Percy Jackson stuff previously.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure they have, and they weren't good, from what I remember. They were a bit too tweeny. They leaned too hard on the twihard side of things, which is it. Well, did you also hear this week that Justice League, which is coming out in just over a week's time?
Oh, really?
I believe, or 2 weeks time.
I have to watch so many of those.
It actually got leaked on HBO Max for around an hour. So people got to see about.
What do you mean it got leaked? Like they accidentally put it on?
I think they were trying to put Tom and Jerry on there, and they accidentally leaked for an hour.
How do you
Justice League film
fuck up Tom and Jerry versus?
Dude, don't ask me.
That's hilarious.
But reportedly, people who did see the first hour of it really enjoyed it. So a quarter of the movie we can be excited about, which is great. I'm excited for that.
A quarter of the movie, like the 5 people that saw it.
Yeah.
Did people screenshot shit? I wonder if there's a bunch of leaked. Surely, like, if you watched it, you were like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to see this. They have leaked
so much of it already, there's no point. Yeah. Like, they just keep dropping. I feel like they're Warner Brothers is trying to bury this film. Like, the Zack Snyder films. Because they're just releasing all of it online. And it's like, who cares? Like, outside of, like, let's be honest, geeks like us, nobody fucking will understand this. They'll be like, this movie was released 4 years ago. Why am I getting this showing up again as a new thing? It's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's nonsense.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Like, if you went to your average, like, run of the joke,
like a lot of people that, like the Ringer does a bunch of stuff on this. Like, a lot of people read the Ringer, you know? So, like, I guess my point is it's more mainstream than I think. It's not just comic book nerds. It's like people that like
I understand. Yeah. But I think when you're looking for the general audience, like the big audience are just going to bring
my
in
mom
the books.
Doesn't know.
Precisely. Yeah. Like I think I could convince my mom or dad to go and see. I convinced them to go and see Thor Ragnarok, and they fucking loved it. Mm-hmm. When I was back in Melbourne.
That's a good one because it's a bit standalone-ish.
It's very standalone-ish, and it's also hilarious. But I think I could convince them off the back of that to see other properties in the Marvel franchise in the MCU. Whereas this, I say to them like, aha. Well, this was released 5 years ago, and you know it was
also it's 4 hours long,
and it was someone else's vision, and then they changed it, and now there was a big internet poll, and there's all these trolls, and Warner Bros. Eventually, they're going to be like, "What?
Yeah,
I don't care about this." And I mean, to be honest, we're kind of at the point of not caring either. But we're going to watch it, and we're going to do a podcast about it because I'm actually excited to see it.
For sure, I'll be excited.
Looking at Darkseid in it, he looks sick. They released a teaser of Darkseid the last couple of days, and he looks gangster.
That is a wild fuck up, though.
Oh, wild.
Like, wild. Like, someone's
getting fired.
Did somebody fat thumb it, you think? It's like, meant to scroll, hit enter. Fuck! Or like, done for the day, enter. Gonna go get a coffee and lunch.
God.
An hour later.
Definitely went out for lunch. Like, what the fuck is this?
It's like halfway upload.
Well, we actually had a friend of the show drop us a tweet this week, which I was very thankful for. So thank you, friend of the show, Matt. We did not hear about the news you sent us. So he sent us an article from Games Radar. Yeah, this third Spider-Man movie is the last contracted for Tom Holland as a solo movie as Spider-Man with the MCU. Tom Holland did say in an interview that he's loved every minute of being part of this amazing world. It's changed his life for the better, and
you don't say, mate.
And he will also come back anytime they want. I think after the last time the sort of Marvel Sony stuff fell to shit, I think they'll probably work it out pretty quickly.
Well, I was going to say,
well, thank you, friend of the show, Matt, for sending that over. We really appreciate it. Look, we're going to take a different tact of this week. If you want to find us on Twitter, I realize that it's a lot harder to at us. So why don't you just do #podcastassemble and we'll find you.
Yeah.
If you want to send us any news, if you want to send us any news, send us a #podcastassemble and we'll see it. Thank you very much, Matt. We appreciate it.
I think we are going to cue.
Are you ready for the main topic?
Yeah, the main topic thing, which you
main topic thing.
You've done well, so I'll let you finish.
I'm happy. I'm the one who can't sing. That's a difference. You can actually sing a little bit.
Halfway. Anyway,
halfway singing.
What is the main topic today?
Do you want to preface it?
Well, do we want to?
Well, we've talked about it enough times.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we didn't talk about WandaWatch today, so
we didn't.
There's a reason why.
There's a subtle hint there how we've gone about this.
There's a reason why.
We talked about from the very top of WandaVision. We tried to steer away from talking about it at all, and then we ended up doing a section on it every week, which,
what you gonna do?
Kind of goes against the premise. But we always said when it was over, we were going to do an episode on it. So we are going to talk a little bit about WandaVision. So I think what we might do is start up top. We'll just do a tiny review of the last episode because we haven't yet talked about it. And we didn't get around to doing any YouTube stuff ever. So let's talk about that first. Then we'll just talk about the whole thing.
Sounds good.
Tell me about the last episode.
Look,
what happened?
Honestly, I enjoyed it. What happened? I mean, in the last episode, basically all the things you've been waiting for, building the fights that you thought were going to happen, all happen. And we pretty much see the family, get together to battle the bad guys. Wanda comes to grips kind of with who she is in a weird halfway way, which is like kind of accepting the bad part, but also accepting the good. And we kind of find out it was, do we want to spoil?
Let's not spoil just yet.
Yeah. Well, that's really the gist of it. The Vision fights Vision, and
there was
Wanda fights Agatha, and
I called it.
Yeah.
There was a light show in the sky.
Laser.
It was a fucking techno laser show. I was
there?
That was
actually
easy.
It was just the walls, wasn't it?
No,
What
it
happened?
was Vision on Vision, and then it was Wanda on Agatha, and there were fucking.
There's always lights, but it wasn't like it wasn't a light tower. It wasn't like the light tower.
It was too much. Yeah, but
there's a lot of.
I think they for the time they had. We talked about this last week. They left themselves too much to do, and my personal thoughts were for the time they had left, they did a good job. They fit everything in they needed to.
Yeah, there was a lot of CGI in this one. You could see where the budget came from. And it was kind of like when that's like a whole episode, it was kind of lackluster for me. There were certain parts I liked. 100%. It definitely wasn't my favorite episode, though.
Well, you know what we should do then? I mean, that was a real quick WandaWatch. So why don't we then just jump into the show as a whole? Because what we've done is we've just mapped out a few plot beats that we want to go through and talk about. And I think it's probably going to be more interesting going straight into spoiler territory.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, well, why don't you do... Because we're terrible at doing overviews of shows, man.
Yeah.
Like, we tried it with the boys. We were bad.
Yeah, well, we tried the mammoth task of summarizing 2 episodes of... 2 seasons of a really, really dense and nuanced show.
Yeah.
So that went
went well.
Poorly-ish.
I actually think it went all right.
We'll let you guys decide. But
yes,
in answer to that, we decided instead of doing like a plot overview that we stumbled through, which we kind of just did, at least for the last episode, we would just do a stupid overview of a succinct and funny, goofy, stupid overview of the entire season.
Absolutely.
In a few
I
sentences.
think that's way better.
Yeah.
So we've actually both done one. I think let's do them both, and then we can decide afterwards who thinks is funnier.
Okay, that's fair.
Do you want to go first?
I will start. Yeah, and
mine's really short.
Mine's a bit longer because long-winded.
Standards. Go on.
Yeah. So, a stupid overview of WandaWatch season 1 and the only season. A happy family spanning multiple generations of mediocre sitcom television with some nightmare-inducing commercials do their best to fit in. All the while, tropey one-dimensional military general does his best to get himself and all those he's sworn to responsibly protect killed with stupid, futile acts of increased aggression that can only be compared to the equivalent of telling your girlfriend that she's emotional and needs to chill during that time of the month. That is my summary of WandaWatch, or WandaVision season 1. Thank you, mate.
I love that. That is way more succinct than mine was, even though it's not.
A bit longer, but when we talked about doing this, I had to just comment on that fucking what's his name, the main Trejo, Hayward, yeah. Hey, whatever. Trejo's a novel character in one of my fucking. There's a guy who's exactly the same as Hayward. His name is Trejo in The Expanse. Sorry.
Oh, that makes sense.
Anyway, Hayward. And I was like, this guy's so comically ridiculous. Like, let's just shoot it with bombs.
Yeah, like, oh my God, what a nonsense.
Throw a drone at it.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
do you want to hear mine?
Yes, let's hear it.
I went a slightly different way. So mine is just that this is Lost for the MCU with a laser show at the end, and only if you substitute death for grief.
Yeah.
It is
that is very, very simple.
Exactly the same.
That is very simple. I think I like yours better. It's literally like 5 words.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of plot, points, that most of which don't go anywhere, some of which kind of do, and then you're not quite sure how it's going to end, and then it ends, and you go, oh, that was what I expected, but I didn't expect it.
I basically knew this was going to happen from the beginning. The mystery wasn't a mystery.
Yeah.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally, when I first started doing this, was going to be like, it was all a dream. That is the summary.
It was all a dream.
But yeah, I think
I think they both succinctly, stupidly sum up that program. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. Between the two, we kind of hit the nail on the head.
Agreed.
I like it a lot. So great. I'm glad you approve of the stupid overview.
I approve
that's my
of the
favorite.
stupid overview. New segment.
Yeah, new segment, stupid overview. Yeah,
yeah. Agreed.
I appreciate that. And if we don't have a proper main topic like this, we'll do it for one of the things we watched during the.
Yeah, easy.
I like that. Much like that. English good me today.
You good?
What is happening? Okay, cool. So let's just jump in a little bit then. So what I wanted to know and what I wanted to talk a bit more about, rather than going through plot details, was, do you think this stands up as an MCU property?
It does. I think so, and not like it's gonna rank it in the pantheon of of different MCU properties, but it does in the sense of it is probably one of the most experimental and creative things they've done
for a long time.
So like I'm not going to say it's my favorite thing, but my point is like in a like cinema universe that is known for like kind of, you know, I guess really inventing the modern superhero movie that we love. And doing different things with different storylines and really leaning into like how different genres within a superhero movie.
Yeah.
They've done that here with almost like a weird, like X-Files mystery version of what an MCU movie could be, or MCU show, I should say, MCU property could be. So I think it does stand up in the sense of like creativity and like reach and ambition. I don't think it's the best one they've done, though.
No, it's not. But just to expand on that point, phenomenal point. Like, I completely agree with that massively. And what's really interesting is what we saw with a lot of, especially the early Marvel movies and into the sort of middle phase, where you say experimental, that's the exact word for it. You saw a lot of like espionage movies. Mm-hmm. It was all over the place. It wasn't necessarily just your beat for beat what we expect from a superhero movie. And the interesting thing for me is, as we got towards Endgame, as we got towards Infinity War, those movies did kind of slip back into that sort of standard superhero mold with, you know, they were quite telegraphed. Like we mentioned before, Captain Marvel. I mean, it's not my favorite. I know Captain a lot of people like it.
My least favorite.
It's very tropey. And I am not putting down Endgame in the slightest, but you could kind of see a lot of the things that were going to happen. Like, it was a little tropey at times.
You knew as soon as they were going to dabble with time travel, that certain things were going to happen.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. And what I'm getting at is, it did slide a little bit in terms of the creativity, but this has really gone back to those roots of trying new things and really just breaking those boundaries.
I think Infinity War tried a lot of new things, though.
Look, I'm not questioning that, but what I'm saying is it was...
For sure. But I think you have to take Infinity War and Endgame as like almost one. Because it's like one is the start and the end of like an arc, right? Or like the climax. And it's like the Empire Strikes Back and the Return of the Jedi. Like everyone's favorite is the Empire Strikes Back, and the Return of the Jedi is definitely more tropey.
True. I actually grew up enjoying Return of the Jedi more.
Yeah.
Did you know that was originally...
Tropes are there for a reason.
Did you know that was originally called Revenge of the Jedi?
Which would also have a double meaning.
Well, yes, it would. Yeah. But the Jedi, who are supposed to be basically like Zen monks who
shouldn't have revenge.
Yeah, why would they be revenging anything?
Well, that's the ironic part as well, because like the one that was potentially giving the revenge,
very true,
wasn't a Jedi.
It's very true
at that point. But then he became a Jedi.
He came back.
A lot of ironies in that title.
Anyway, I also agree. I do think this stands up as an MCU property. I think for the exact reasons you said, perfectly honest, it not only pushes the boundaries, but at its heart, it is a superhero movie. And a lot of the better movie. It is a superhero property, and a lot of the better ones have dealt with bigger things than just I don't like this Avenger. Like, so for example, you look at Captain America: Civil War. You've got Nemo, who's a phenomenal character, and Grief again is pushing his character arc forward.
Yeah.
So like a lot of this as well was really interesting in that it flipped the usual superhero expectations. You were thinking Wanda was going to be the good guy, but at the very end, you find out, spoilers for all of WandaVision, by the way. At the very end, you find out that she was, whether she knew it or not, she was controlling these people, and they all turned on her, and they were
I feel like I like it and agree with you in a lot of ways, but I think a lot of it was pretty telegraphed.
Yes, agreed.
To be honest,
that's
like
what I was
it wasn't really
before.
ever a mystery. But we can talk about that. For me, like we can talk about that. I guess in areas like that would probably be one of the areas where I'm like, okay, what did I like not like about it as much, or where did it falter? I would say it was pretty telegraphed.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Well, actually, my next question to you is going to be standout best and worst moments. So, okay. Well, why don't we start with your worst moments?
So worst moments that let me actually think about. Like I think a lot of it, the worst they're not really moments, but like things that I think they could have done better is not telegraph that as many indicators that this was all her making it up as she went. Like that was the central mystery that they kind of posited for the first 4 episodes, but it wasn't a mystery at all, right? So like the way they reveal a mystery that's already revealed, it's like it kind of loosens the effect of the ending.
Yeah, agreed.
So that'd be one thing for me. I mean, certain parts of like the sitcominess, I actually didn't like at first, but started to like more of it now that I've seen the whole thing. So it's like, that's almost like things I talked about in the past that I didn't like. By the end, I actually kind of appreciated them more.
Okay.
The kind of like pretty classic CGI fight at the end lost a lot of
awful.
Yeah, it lost a lot of the like hit for me.
And that's on mine as well.
And mainly the one between Agnes and her. I was just kind of like, this is kind of lame. Moments I really liked. I
need one more to make the 3.
I thought I did 3. Oh no, because one of them was like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, you kind of went in circles on one of them.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, I can just quickly bust off a 2.
Bust off 2 for you.
I'll bust off a couple while you're thinking about it. So the Agatha Harkness reveal. Who was that for? Like, it was for comic book nerds and everyone who'd read all of the articles and watched all of the YouTube videos. It's like, if you had watched WandaVision wall to wall without looking up anything about the past or knowing anything about the comic books, you'd have been like, what does that mean? Like, when she's like, I'm Agatha Harkness, you'd be like,
you didn't like that reveal.
What? It doesn't make sense. It's not a good reveal because it doesn't reveal anything.
Can I like come with my third? I agree with that. And there were multiple moments because of the shortness of the episodes and the way they did cliffhanger endings that just were kind of like mess with the pacing. Yeah. And in my opinion, like lessened reveals. Like because of the format and how short it was and like how they decided to end it. Like certain reveals just didn't have the same hit that they could have if they were handled differently. But
I think as well, and something we're going to talk about in a minute, is the fact that because it was episodic and it was weekly, it gave everyone, especially this rabid fan base who's not had anything for over a year, remember, they were just obsessing over every minor detail, looking at every scene, every instant. And like, that's too much. And like, it just didn't help.
I don't mind the weekly releases.
No. Like we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. But what I'm saying is this fan base that has been it's like the scene in Game of Thrones where Sansa leaves. What's his name? Ramsay to the dogs.
Yeah.
If you give a starving dog a bone, it's gonna fucking chew it. And like these fans are like gnawing away at this thing, and every little thing became like a potential Easter egg.
Yeah, no, that's fair as well. And to like not pay off a lot of them was probably another negative.
And my next negative was the Pietro reveal.
Yeah,
which to me, like, you called it was a red herring. Understood. And like I kind of get that, it's fine. I just feel like it was too gimmicky.
I don't think we're done with that though.
Maybe.
I don't think we're done with that.
Maybe not.
I think that they could use that as a way to like something like in what happened at this nexus point broke the multiverse, and that's why he was the one that she pulled out. It was like something that she didn't fully really understand what she was doing. Anyway, we'll see.
And my last one was a laser battle, which you've already said. So do you have a last one?
I do have a last one. I like a sub last one. Just the character Hayward in general. A lot of tropiness to his character. It was pretty just redone and rehashed. Like we already saw this with what is it? Their swords. What was the other one? Shield. Yeah. Like the same kind of story. This guy like is taking over. He's trying,
I have an unanswerable question for you.
Yeah.
Was Hayward right?
No.
Hang on. He kind of was.
I mean, was he right?
He was doing his job.
Was he right that Wanda was a risk? Yes. Was he right in how he handled it? No.
So there were minor details that he could have handled better. He could have said, she has created a murder bot that we don't know what it's going to do if she loses control of it.
He created the murder bot.
No. So like Vision, right? So he doesn't know that she can fully control Vision all the time. Vision loses shit. He could go off and do anything. And he is literally made of vibranium. So I'm like, if you just change your tact and just say, look, we're concerned that she might lose control of this multi-billion-dollar robot. We have one that can, just calm things down a little bit. We're going to send him in.
But isn't it much more likely that, like, she, like, not Vision is going to fuck up, but she, the emotional wreck that created this thing, is going to fuck up?
Probably.
So, like, that's not even the worry. Like, that this, like, the worry is about...
He got arrested for doing his job.
Nah.
He
got arrested for he was doing what he thought was his job, but like I can't as a sales rep go like aggressively yell at someone to buy something and still have a job if I don't do it the correct way. Does that make sense? Like it's in the how, not the what, not the intention. How do you do your job is really important, and he did not do it well.
He's an army general or whatever he was.
So he should exercise constraint. He shouldn't just bomb the first thing he sees.
He did exercise constraint.
He shoots a missile at her the first time he sees her.
He tried.
Yeah, point being.
Okay, what are your top 3 favorite bits?
I really, really liked the actual Vision little logical debate thing at the end. One of the few things in that last episode that I loved.
Way up there.
Yeah, I wish they would have done more of that.
I'm going to cut that out of mine because I'm glad you brought that up.
I really liked the quote by Vision of love is just whatever. Like, what is grief if not love? Persevering. Still love.
All right, you've
still love that
thank
quote.
you, because I had 5 and you've got rid of 2 of the ones.
Okay.
I really appreciate that. I really like the Vision monologue at the end where he's talking to him about the old ship. Complete nonsense if you're not a high school philosophy major. But the thing I liked about it is it kind of harkened back to the Ultron scene. You know, at the end of Age of Ultron, when he has that conversation with Ultron, it's deep and philosophical.
Yeah.
And they are both 2 opposite sides of the coin.
Yeah.
And you're there like, well, you're kind of both right, but like one is completely fucked up a way going about this, and the other one's the right way. It's like, it's kind of that. And it was interesting.
No, it was. I really liked
using
that.
Logic.
It was cool, and I wish they would I wish there was a bit more of that, but because I didn't like the other stuff going on.
That should have been the end of the episode,
as I mentioned. You know what? And I'm just gonna slip a quick negative in here. The kids kind of bugged me just throughout the whole thing. Anyway,
I thought
they
grew on me.
They did not grow on me. I was like, what is this kind of bogus stuff? But I get it. It's Disney Plus. They got to do that kind of stuff.
They'll come back. We'll talk about that.
I really liked. I just liked Agatha when she was a badass bitch. Not when she was like, it's Agatha, but like when she was actually embodying her like witchy self. I was pretty.
Did you just get full on like
witchy self? Snap,
you got like
fucking her like, I'm a witch, bitch.
Snapping your head back while you're saying
I'm a witch, bitch.
I'm a witch.
I liked her like outfit. I liked her portrayal of that character, like when she was truly embodying.
Yeah,
the
that was
power.
very cool.
Yeah.
And it's a shame we can't really talk about that last bit where Scarlet Witch uses her own hexes against her, because it comes in the middle of that crappy battle where they're just pew 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 lasers everywhere.
Yeah, and that was like cool, but that
Which
was
is a
also
shame.
so telegraphed.
But
But it's like okay,
I knew it.
That's an okay
immediately.
telegraph because it's like Chekhov's gun, like, you know. What I mean?
You
like
kind of guess
that kind of stuff happens.
Well, okay. Well, so my top 3 were thank you for them. I think they were actually, you helped me there a lot. I appreciate that.
Happy to help.
So my first one was that scene when Vision first tries to break out of the hex, and he is literally disintegrating in front of them. Like, Paul Bettany acts like unbelievably in that moment. Like, that is like pain, but at the same time wanting to help. Like,
it's a great scene.
That's a phenomenal scene. So my next one was the magic show, and like, it's interesting because it's one of the first couple of episodes when
you mean the talent show.
Yeah, the talent show.
Okay,
and you went massively into it.
Yeah, I'd have to almost rewatch it to remember.
That was one of my favorite scenes, and I think if you look at it in the context of the show, it's really fun. Like, compared to what we get either side of it, and it's just dripping with like, it's got Dick Van Dyke written all over it. It's beautiful. Apparently, he was an exec. He was like an exec on the show. Dick Van Dyke.
I believe. Look, I think that like I would actually, if I didn't have to wait 30 minutes for those first few, and I could have watched like 6 of them in a row, I would have liked it. The earlier episodes a little bit more.
Hold that thought. We're coming back. Hold that thought. And my last one then was, and actually this was probably one of my favorite moments of the whole show, was when Vision finally confronts Wanda. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th episode, and she just tries to play the credits over him. And,
that's a great scene.
He just refuses
and
to
they just
let
like
her.
Almost fight.
Like, so good.
Yeah, that was good.
That was just a phenomenal scene.
Good.
And it really encapsulated for me just, how she was fucking with everything around her. And like, but at the same time, maybe didn't quite have full control. It was really good.
No, it was really good. Those are all very worthy, and most of mine were probably half to back half. Yours, a lot of them were early, which I like. Got a bit of both worlds there. Well,
could it have been a movie?
I was gonna say, I think it could have been a movie, but you would have lost. It couldn't have been this as a movie.
Agreed.
It would have been too hard to do the sitcom-y stuff. I don't even know if it would have been too long. They could have made the length work, but it'd be too hard to do the sitcom-y stuff with proper mystery in a movie setting, I think.
I just thought they could, if they literally just chopped, like, so they did like 5 minutes of one sitcom, chopped next sitcom, so it was just flipping between. That could have worked, but I completely agree with you.
It might have lost its flair, though. Like, what's this next week going to be like? I completely agree with you, yeah. Are they going to keep going this way? It would just be in or out. Fuck, that.
All right, we're really picking at that thread. I preferred it as it was.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you one question before I get into that main debate point then. As a whole chunk, is this better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
It's better. This only works on like somewhat mediocre movies.
I know, but I just like your reactions every time. You get more and more flustered. Eventually, you're gonna be like, no, actually, it's not better than Aquaman 2018.
Like, what is Aquaman 2018? I've never heard of this movie.
We're gonna find out in a couple of weeks when we do the Justice League.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
That's gonna be one, isn't it? Okay. Well, so we've been just like picking away at this, and it's been sort of like a thread through. So the main thing that I think we can sort of dissect a little bit here is there was a big raging argument online about the difference between a Netflix style drop of all 9 episodes versus the episodic. Now, the big, we joked about this the other week, but like the big deal was that people were getting frustrated, and obviously they had too much time to think about the next fucking episode. I personally prefer waiting by episode. How do you feel?
I prefer waiting. I'm fine with it. I'm okay with that. I just think they didn't do themselves any favors the way they like put scenes in the middle of these. First of all, the credits were like 8 minutes long. It seems like the longest credits I've ever seen for any show.
It's true, but it's also had the same amount of people working on it as a movie would.
No,
so you
I'm just saying. It seems like they could have shortened it, but there's that element.
Don't have credit, guys, for doing all your good hard
but
work.
like you don't have to do it the way they did it. They elongate it. If you watch the whole thing, it's like 10 seconds on each person. But anyway,
I see.
Point being,
you hate the unions. I get it.
Yeah, fuck the unions. The point being, I think that like these episodes were pretty short.
Yeah.
And oftentimes not a lot happened, and then it's like a cliffhanger ending time after time after time on not a lot happening.
Sure.
I can understand the frustration. Do I think that Marvel should give a fuck? No. But I can understand the frustration.
Not even a little bit.
I don't think they did themselves favors with the pacing, and then in addition to that, multiple times putting the ending scene in the middle of the credits, like a bit like it's not a Marvel movie, a bit frustrating. Like I could get it.
I wonder if, and I've actually got some correspondence from a friend of the show Ollie about this, and I'll actually bring it up in just a moment. I actually wonder if this was supposed to be the second thing they brought out. This was supposed to be after Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they expected to learn a lot from that, and then they would have brought a lot of those things into this show. Let me just quickly tell you. Let me say what friend of the show Ollie said, because it's his opinion here is actually really interesting. So his take on the scenario was that WandaVision was known to be the better show in production, and they brought it forward to more to like launch the Marvel side of Disney Plus. Whereas my understanding of it was that it was just due to the size of the sets and the ease of filming. So obviously with COVID happening, they physically couldn't go out and film these big set pieces. Do you know what I mean? Like in the background where like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is an action show, full stop. And obviously it takes place in many various different locations, where WandaVision is effectively just what they could do on like a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like a film, like just a big film set, and they just like put it
all
together.
They didn't need much.
And that was my understanding. But that's certainly an interesting way of looking at it. Like if you think that they thought this was the strongest show, so they brought it forward, like kind of makes sense.
It could be. I think it's going to be the stronger show if you had to. To be honest, though, I'm thinking of how much of that is like retcon in my head. Like when I first heard both of these, would I have thought that Wanda and Vision I probably would have been not interested in either. I wasn't that interested in Wanda before. I wasn't that interested in Vision. They were pretty vanilla characters to me, and I definitely wasn't interested in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I would have probably been like, toss them up. I don't care. That's what they did really well with this, was they made those two characters really, like those guys did carry it. They did well.
Yeah.
The leading roles.
Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen. Wow.
Yeah.
We should have called it out top because, oh my God, wow.
Seriously. Yeah. They did a really good job.
She's
a chameleon.
All of the different tropes of all of the different eras of sitcom, they just got perfectly. Like we mentioned Dick Van Dyke before, the stuff around, Malcolm in the Middle, and then it was just brilliant. Quickly then, let's just touch on a few key plot points that we didn't get closure on. Are there any that stand out to you?
I think that I would put in the Pietro one as one that we didn't get full closure on, even though we did have it tied up. I would say that is
just
one.
Having him in for a wiener joke, just I don't feel like that's enough. I feel like that's
it was pretty like random as well. Like what was going? Like why did they do the boner thing? I didn't get it.
I don't know. It wasn't. Not for me. I just feel like there might be more to that. But we could be doing what we've been doing for 9 weeks now, and just looking way too deeply into it. I think for me, the real one, the one that stands out more than anything, is the aerospace engineer. It wasn't that I wanted there to be more there. It's just that they didn't reveal. There wasn't anything. They had this sort of like lingering moment, and you're like, okay, well, this could be. At least let us know who the engineer was.
It seems like they must have been a mistake.
Or they're going to bring it up later.
God, I just don't know if like that. That's a very, very subtle way. Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
And one other thing I put was, so one thing most people assumed was, so everyone assumed Doctor Strange was going to be in this.
Yeah.
Obviously wasn't.
Yeah.
We all got our hopes up. But where is he? Because in Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man, second Spider-Man movie that I can't remember the name of, Far From Home maybe? The one where he's in Europe, it's hinted at that Doctor Strange, it's not even hinted at, it's outright said when Tom Holland is like, why can't another Avenger deal with this? Where's Thor? Where's Doctor Strange? Nick Fury, or the Skrull version of Nick Fury is like, Skrull version of Nick Fury is like, he's away doing something.
Yeah.
And the timelines line up, so you would have thought that he might have been involved in this. So where was Doctor Strange?
Probably dealing with something else, and we're going to find out. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a fair loose end. That's like, hey, we're going to find out later.
Yeah.
What was another?
By the way, we didn't mention this up top as well. She's more. It was called out that she was more powerful than Doctor Strange.
Was it?
Yeah.
Chaos magic.
Yeah.
Reveal?
So Agatha did reveal at one point that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, which is Doctor Strange.
Did she say that? Even the Sorcerer Supreme
actively said that she's more powerful.
Cool.
Yeah,
I missed that.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all right then. So what's next for the future of the MCU? And I've put some quick notes. We've gone on a little bit here, so maybe I'll just fire them at you, and you can let me know what you think.
Sure.
So first and foremost, will Wanda become a villain?
I mean, it's like pretty hinted that she will have a villain arc. Now, whether that means she becomes a full-on villain and doesn't come back, like, don't know. But I think it's pretty fair to say that at least one movie she will be.
Yeah, or at least part of. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And the interesting thing about the Darkhold, so the book that was seen in Agatha's basement, and then WandaVision, and then the Scarlet Witch was seen at the end, flipping through it. I think she was astral projecting to read it. Mm-hmm. It was interesting because it wasn't quite the same. Because when Doctor Strange astral projects, his body is usually like KO'd somewhere. Mm-hmm. But in this, it showed that she was just wandering around having a cup of coffee and shit. It's like either she's just that powerful, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the astral projection is the thing that's wandering around, and she's reading the book as the Scarlet
don't know,
Witch.
Or maybe this is like part of like what opens up the multiverse. Is her fucking around with this book, and she's like, doing different things in different realities to try and figure out. It also sounded like, and this is almost maybe a plot point we didn't get closure on as well. It sounded like her kids were calling to her.
Right.
Which is like, is she trying to find a reality where they exist and can exist with her now?
Or
like
bring them from a different... Yeah. Well, so that the Darkhold, right, is in the comics is massive. So it's intrinsically linked to a bad dude named Cathan. Not going to lie, don't know that much about him. But this is basically his scrolls that he left on Earth in case he ever needed to get back. Mm-hmm. And if she's fucking around with it and she's got all this power... Also, as well, it kind of looked like she was... It kind of, to me, just personally, kind of hinted that maybe she was being manipulated a little bit by it. She was a little bit vacant while she was reading it.
I mean, probably if it's like some dark magic thing, like there's going to be some influences of that thing on it. I think also, like something that is kind of hinted at in the future, but also a plot that didn't quite get closure. It got closure, but she says, "Hey, until we see each other again." Like, and then the whole conversation with Vision, where he's like, you can actually turn yourself basically back into who you were. Yep. Kind of really leaves it open for Vision to return.
Well, that was all right. So you've just skipped right to the end of the podcast. That was going to be my final question to you.
Oh, was it?
My final question was, do you think the finale of the Wanda and Vision together is hinting that we have White Vision flying around somewhere, that at some point we're going to reunite the two, the mind and the body, and bring Vision back properly?
I do, and it might have to do with like bringing Wanda out of her villain arc,
which could easily happen. And I like that idea.
Or like, this is not the woman that he loved, like, and this is how he's either going to bring her back or have to kill her.
100, and I
Yeah.
love that idea,
Yeah.
and I'm going to absolutely splice this into the podcast. But that was how I was going to end. But I appreciate that. That's a really good point. So then the next one, the next one I was going to say then, and you sort of touched on it before, is will we see Tommy and Billy again?
I fucking hope not.
I think we might. I think we might see aged up versions of them.
I mean, no, totally could happen. Like, and maybe they're recast and different. They're older.
I do think we'd probably see an aged up version. I think they're probably a bit too young.
They're way too young. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, there's a few more then. So Monica going to space, yes or no? Monica Rambeau.
Sure.
It's very likely.
Yeah. What did they say at the end?
The post-credit scene, she was like, he wants to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Pointing at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And she's a Skrull, so you would assume she means Nick Fury. I think we'll probably see her going to space. My last question was, and this kind of flips between the two, is, you know, Darcy and Wu, do we think we'll see them again?
Yeah, for sure.
Agatha. Will we see
Agatha is
again?
the other, like, kind of like, I hope we do.
Yes.
I also think Lucen, like, where has she been this whole time?
Good question.
So maybe we'll get the origin later, you know. I don't know.
Good question.
I really do hope we get her again.
I think in general, we kind of touched on this previously, but my thoughts are that this is a really great way to reopen not only the MCU, but the creativity in it as well. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to go into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We kind of know what we're going to get. It's going to be, you know, action buddy cop, you know, bit of fun, bit of a romp. But if we get half this creativity and half this intrigue that we've got in the Loki series, bloody hell, it's going to be good.
I wonder how much he can carry it.
He can carry anything.
I wonder how much like interconnectedness we're going to get between some of this stuff. Like, do you anticipate that, like, with the Loki show and Multiverse of Madness, when is Multiverse of Madness coming out?
So Black Widow is May, then Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is July, and then we have the Eternals in November, and then Doctor Strange is next year.
Really? So Doctor Strange is after the Eternals?
Yep.
I thought it would be first. Okay, well, point being, I think that, like, that there could be a scenario where Loki, in this weird place where he's in, comes into the Multiverse of Madness as that character, and there's two Lokis, and like you could totally see all these things. Could be I hope that happens. I hope that we get some more cross pollination like we usually do.
Could all be building up to it. And I love that idea. That's a really cool way of doing it. But going back to what we were talking about before, then do you think the fact that these have had to be moved around may have fucked with the fact that they were meant to overlap or overlink? We were supposed to have some, like, you know, hints at them linking over somehow, but we couldn't get that because of the time and the schedules getting moved.
I reckon, like, no. I reckon mostly it's
good.
Like, coming
that
out.
answers that question. No more MCU ever.
I just think it's like mostly coming in as it was supposed to. Like they figured out most of it. Yeah,
you would assume they would have done that.
I don't think they would have had any like mass edits or had to change things to like fit certain timelines. They would have just stalled it.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, last question then before we wrap up. Does this make you more or less excited for the future of the MCU on the TV shows? So, I mean, there's a lot coming out. So, obviously, I mean, we've mentioned Falcon Boy and Bucky Boy. We're not that bothered about, but Loki, and then we've got Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye. I just think for me, it makes me feel like the TV shows have got a lot more potential than I expected.
I'll say, like, because I was like totally not excited for this at all, and I enjoyed it. Sure, can they do it twice? Maybe.
Well.
Yeah.
I think Bucky Boy. Let's not.
That's the one I'm saying. Like Loki for sure, but like this next one, I'm not.
I think Ms. Marvel's got a lot of potential. It's a very cool, interesting character with, you know, very diverse. Lots of the storyline's still quite fresh and quite new as well. So why not? And the one I'm actually excited for, which isn't actually this year, is She-Hulk. I think that's gonna be real fun. She's kind of Matt Murdock-ish. She's a lawyer. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I'm super excited that they're putting effort into Disney Plus and releasing more stuff. Even if I don't like stuff, agreed. It could be background, you know. It's not going to be like, it doesn't all have to be like the best thing that they've ever released.
The best thing ever.
Yeah. So.
Great. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. Which was your favorite colored Skybeam?
I like the perp nerp.
Perp. I liked the Vision. I liked Vision's white one. I'm calling him Vision because he was White Vision.
Why was his so much stronger?
I don't think it was.
Consistently, he was.
I don't think he was.
His beam was like way longer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a pissing contest here, mate. Like,
a lot of girth.
Look, I think we've cut off all the key points here. Yeah. Thank you guys for sticking with it. We both really enjoyed WandaVision, as we've talked about multiple times. I'm very excited for the rest of what's coming and coming soon. We have a week in between. We have the making of. Then we have Falky and Boogie Boy.
Yeah.
Which we're
back to back. They're just
back
rolling.
to back. We did have a little bit of correspondence this week, which is really nice. Friend of the show, Andy, messaged in, and actually he did talk about the WandaVision show, but he did also mention, he said that he listened recently to the video game podcast we did, and he's been completely changed, and now he's really excited to play the Harry Potter game, which I
Which
think
one
is
was
really
that?
cool.
What do we do?
The Harry Potter RPG.
Oh, is that the ones we're most excited for? Yeah,
Yes, it was,
That is
absolutely. There's a couple of episodes back. And he says he didn't read any of the books. He's seen the films, but is super pumped to play Harry Potter, which is awesome. And
Nice.
I think that's kind of something I would like to say we try to do, is
I
just
would hope so.
offer people, new things,
Keep
different
people
things.
pumped on new things. I'm always down for that.
Yeah. Go on, you go.
Yeah, I've got some correspondence from Steve.
Another friend of the show, Steve. It's going to have to be friend of the show 2, Steve.
Oh, this is Steve 2.
Steve 2.
Steve 2.
2, Steve.
Basically, somebody was sending around some stuff around what's his name, AMAC, and I asked how do you feel about AMAC, right?
Who's AMAC?
And AMAC,
Oh.
Falcon. What's his name?
Falky boy.
Falky boy. And are you excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier? He said, yeah, probably gonna be one of the more average ones, but I'll watch. Marvel character, but I'll watch.
That a lot of people are saying that.
And then somebody else chimed in. When we were talking about this, Ian,
Friend of the show, Ian.
friend of the show, Ian, very excited about it. Very excited about it. One of the one of the things he's looking forward to most.
But what I'd love
in the
to know
MCU.
is, what I'd love to know is, because I know you mentioned a week or so ago that one of your friends was still catching. It's one of your friends of the show was still catching up, and they were about halfway through, and they said they were a little bit bored of it. I'd love to know if they carried on.
Yeah,
if they
and
got
I
to
don't
the
think
end.
they've watched it yet.
I forgot the friend of the show's name.
It was friend of the show Ari, and he has not. He has not written in. So,
Ooh. Well, friend of the show Ari, let us know what you think. We'd love to know. We did have friend of the show 1, Steve, and friend of the show
2.
Matt. Yeah, both saying they were a little underwhelmed by the ending of WandaVision.
I think it's a fair point, but you got to view it in its whole.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, thanks guys for the correspondence. Thank you for all sticking with it. We do really appreciate it. If you want to contact us, where can they contact us?
thepodcastassemble@gmail.com.
Perfect. And we changed our tag. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, just #podcastassemble, and we will eventually get around to finding it. We'd love to hear from you guys if there's any news we've missed. If you have any views on Bookie Boy, Falky Boy, Falky Bookie Boy, or the ending of WandaVision, what you're most excited for next, please do let us know. Thank you, DL.
Thank you, Tommy. Armsy out.
Thank